J. Gordon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very pleasant good morning to everyone. Salam alaikum. Let me just greet our distinguished leaders here. Honorable Ahod Ibrahim, Chief Minister of the BARMM, Member of Parliament Ali Pangalian Balindong, Speaker, Bangsamoro Parliament, Minister Mohager Iqbal, my good friend, Minister of Basic, Higher, and Technical Education, Secretary Galvez, although he's represented by USEC David Diciano, and Secretary Kendrick Chua, represented by Greg Pineda, Assistant Secretary, and of course, physically present are the following: Honorable Abdul Rauf Makakua, Mohammed Asnin Pendatun. This is a known name to me. They have roots in Zambales as well. Engineer Mohajrin Ali, Director General, Bangsamoro Planning Development Authority. It is a great pleasure and honor to me on this very great morning to be with you. I've always looked forward to being with our brother Muslims, our countrymen, and especially at this time in our history where we have just extended the term of all the Bangsamoro Parliament. At least sinuportahan ang Republic Act 11593. In fact, I was the principal author and sponsor extending the Bangsamoro Transition Authority, and we moved the election of officials of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao from 2022 to 2025. We have aggressively pursued the Bangsamoro concept, and I remember I came down to Camp Tarapanan in 2009. I believe I was the first senator to do so. And I met with my good friend Jafar, who has already passed on. And I'm very, very sad. Ghazali Jafar was a good friend of mine, and I remained his friend all throughout his death. The last time I saw him was when we had this affair in Malacanang that inaugurated all the officials at that time. And at that time, he was already in a wheelchair, and we had a picture together. We started together with Jafar Ghazali, and then, of course, Al-Jahi Murad Ibrahim joined us, and the three of us, and then pretty soon everybody was joining. So that's the power of unity. From the cabinet to the senators and the congressmen who were present, it grew to these large numbers of people. And that's what I cannot forget. These are my last moments with Ghazal Jafari, and I just want to make sure that we remember him today. I say a little prayer every day for him, and I pray my own rosary, and because he was a precious friend indeed. Today, you're having a meeting here involving the continuation of the peace and development efforts of the BARMM. And I can assure you of our continued support because all this will contribute towards advancing social justice, equalization of opportunities, and certainly the development of a new and restored Muslim Mindanao, if you will. This is a Bangsamoro Planning and Development Authority seminar, and I'm very happy to participate in this, and I'm deeply honored. As I said, I was there in 2009, if I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and we went over there. And let me just point out that I am not unfamiliar with what is happening in our country. At that time, I was asked by Ghazali to have a meeting with the core group of supporters of what was then the Bangsamoro, the MILF group. And we had a very, very boisterous and very assertive discussion, after which we went inside the inner foyer of the offices of then, and then we put our hands together. I remember Mr. Wakameya of Japan and Congresswoman Coscoluelo, who attended there at that time. And we said that I committed because Vice Chairman Jafar said to me, there's been a lot of blood and treasure that has been spent. And I said, I too have spent blood and treasure. My own father was assassinated in the building of this country. and therefore you can be assured that we will be there with you. At this point in time, we start anew. I'd like to think of this as the efforts at restoring the wonderful, effort at creating the Bangsamoro. We want to promote the promise of the future now, and this is a very strong indication that we can do. We can do this. It can be done. I can remember at this time in 2000 and in 19 let me see in 1992 when the bases were turned over after the devastating Mount Pinatubo eruption. We were forlorn because we had lost our homes, and then all of a sudden, right after the Pinatubo eruption, the Americans were asked to leave, and therefore I was not desperate. I felt that I must inspire our people, and to do that, as soon as they left, we immediately gathered the volunteers of Subic, gave them our vision, which I did way back in 1980, and showed them a vision of the new Subic Bay Freeport, where I showed an American carrier leaving Subic, and you can see the mountains beyond there. And at that time, I had no PowerPoint, and I showed this picture of the same American carrier, and I said, the picture on the left side where you see the mountains of Olongapo in the background is Olongapo today, and Olongapo tomorrow is what you will see in the next picture, where I saw the same aircraft carrier leaving Subic. But actually, it was really San Francisco. Of course, the people were astounded that we could come out with a depiction of what is in the future. And that is what we need, vision, because vision is a mental picture of an event that is going to happen soon, that cannot be seen at the present, but certainly is better than today. And that is what we must commit ourselves to. We cannot say we're going to develop. We have to start right away. And like Subic, we were committed. We sought the help of everybody, but we were not looking at self-help. We were all looking at self-help, and we were not going to be dependent. That's what I said. Bawal ang tamad. So long po, lalong bawal ang tanga. We have to be smart. So we use the volunteers because I believe the people of our country, when tapped, pag nagsama ang leader at mga tao, lalabas talaga ang galing ng Pilipino. And there you can see we developed the common folks as well as the young people from all over the world who came down. And we got FedEx, we got Coastal, we got Enron right away, we got the Taiwanese Economic Development Zone, we had the Japanese Development Zone, and there you see I contacted, the World Bank came to see me. Actually, I did not contact them, and that was right after the turnover. I wasn't even the chairman at that time. I wasn't even appointed. And at that time, I said, this is our vision, and they gave me practically an oral examination on what I was going to do it, how I was going to do it. And I said, it's better to know where you're going and not know how than to know how you're going and not know where. And they were quite impressed because I said rather arrogantly that we were going to use volunteers to protect and preserve the facility so that we can prosper. I gave an identification, a definition to our people of Olongapo that we must do this because the reputation of our country is at stake. If we steal this, if we do not protect it and we do not preserve it, and we're not proud of it, nobody is going to invest in our country, particularly in Subic, and nobody is going to believe us, particularly Pinatubo. There was a fear that Pinatubo might erupt again. And rule of law, we're not very famous for. We keep changing the rules in the middle of the game. And I remind you that these are basic in developing BARMM, that we must follow the rule of law, that is predictability, consistency, and continuity. But above all, the people of Bangsamoro must be part of the process of change. I've seen it by first example, by first experience in Sulu when we adopted the Fruits of Hope. I went there and I said, my God, I mean, there's so much promise in Sulu. And we adopted what we bought the fruits in Sulu, all of it, and we put it in a C-130, and we paid for it at market rate so that the farmers did not have to wait for the middleman to come over there. And we used everybody, the leaders of Sulu, the military, the local governments, and the people, the farmers, and we were able to get this done. And soon enough, even President Macapagal Arroyo met us at the airport at the time. She wasn't aware of what we were doing, but nonetheless, she was enthused by it. In fact, we have wanted to do it all over again, and that's one of the reasons why I got the ship of the Red Cross. That one day we can go and bring that ship and just load it with mangosteen, with durian, and all that, and bring it back to the nearest malls or the nearest places where they can immediately ship it to the supermarkets and the malls of the Philippines, or even export it from there. And that's our ship. You see, I never thought I was going to have a ship in the Red Cross, but we were able to procure our own ship. I believe that we should have self-help, self-reliance, and cooperation. And you can see, brought in the Red Cross and the Red Crescent out of respect for the whole world. That is our international symbol of the International Federation. And this is what we were doing again as well here in Mindanao. We right after during the war in Marawi, the Red Cross was there meeting people, providing blood pressure examinations, providing water, putting up medical tents, making sure our doctors or our nurses were there to make sure that we could provide the assistance necessary, the psychosocial support. And soon enough, you could see that we were moving forward. One time I brought in the chairman or the president of the International Committee of the Red Cross, Peter Bauer, and we showed them what the people of Lanao are doing, particularly under the leadership of sila Governor Adyong and the people there. And we started distributing 10,000 pesos each to so many families there at the gymnasium. This was the second batch. You can see it was fully loaded. And also we provided them relief and we encouraged them to have livelihood. And I remember I brought dozens of malong that was built there, and we brought it back to Manila. And I use it at home as a table runner, as anything that I go, even use it as a blanket. As you know, there are many uses. And I remember also in 2006 when I went to Sulu and saw the Tausug children singing the national anthem, and when I left anthem at that time, and they all wanted to have computers. And certainly this is something that I bring forth, that education is really the important matter that we should pursue, because especially in our area, we have what we call malnutrition. We are a poor area. We're one of the poorest, if not the poorest in the country. And that should give us time for optimism. The only way to go for Bangsamoro is to go up. And we must inform our public about that, our fellow citizens about that. Same thing with Subic, same thing with tourism when I took over. The only way to go was up. And even in Basilan, when I took the hostages from the Abu Sayyaf, I remember meeting people, young people there that I took from the mountains along with our Red Cross volunteers there, and Congressman, I can't remember his name right now, but I will remember it in a short while. And we brought them down, including the teachers. And you can see the two tykes, the two children there, a boy and a girl. This on the right, I was so surprised that in 2017, they came back to see me, that they had already finished college and they now have jobs. And that is why I say there's everything to do. Hope springs eternal. And that is what Bangsamoro must do. We cannot rely on government. I do not believe that we can rely on government alone to help our problems. But we must rely on ourselves, show the respect that we accord ourselves so that the whole world will respect us also. And I take you back to the example of the not only Subic, also of Clark, which I helped develop, and Mariveles, which we converted into a free port zone. And that is now doing very, very well until the pandemic erupted, but we're going gangbusters. They have 44,000 jobs right away that were created. In Subic alone, we had 200,000 jobs. I think they have more than 300,000 to 400,000 jobs now. And we built our airport and our seaport. And today, I wish we could have done better. But unfortunately, when national government intervenes, it becomes a bar. So it can be good, it can be bad. And what we must do is have the will to talk to the national government firmly but fairly, and make sure that they respect our work ethic, na talagang magagawa namin yan. Tulungan nyo lang kami. Kung hindi kayo tutulong, we will do it without you. And in fact, that's exactly what we did. We convinced the World Bank that we were worthy, and that's why we were able to build our infrastructure there, and we were able to build our airport, etc., etc. Now, Talk about redevelopment. You're talking about, for example, about this time, December 13, November 8, Haiyan gave us the biggest disaster in the country of the tsunami. So many houses were destroyed. So many lives were lost. But yet we gave hope. We put up a humanitarian caravan right away. We brought in help. That is very little when you compare it to the great challenge of the disaster. Houses in ruins, schools destroyed. But yet we got the international community that respected the Philippine Red Cross. We put them together in a conference about this time, or in February 2014. And right away, when that happened, we were able to show each and every chapter, including Arab countries like UAE, including America Red Cross, including the British Red Cross. And soon enough, you can see the map. We put them there. Everybody had a role. And that's one of the things I'd like to emphasize here. We have to tell our people that they have a role to play, that they must not be dependent. And right away, when this happened, look at what has happened in the aftermath of that. Red Cross put up the first schools in February that year. You can see we did it with the Chinese. First, they wanted to build houses, but the houses that were going to give to us was really dog houses, not even fit for two people. So I said, I'm not going to accept it. You have to respect us. And so I said, give me the same materials, but this time we will build schoolrooms because that's what they needed. And right away, we had everybody, including Hong Kong, including Fatima University in Manila. They provide homes. We are payloaders pay the ground. And soon enough, you can see the Chinese there, very tall. But I didn't want to build it for us. We cemented the ground floor. And you can see our people on top of the building. And soon enough, we had classrooms operating. And then we built houses, not just schools. And you can see that today we had built 80,207 homes all over. And you can see that there is accountability. When you ask for help, you can see Australia's Red Cross, the government gave it to the Philippine Red Cross. And in every barangay, in every town, in every city, on our way to building 80,000 homes, you could see I demanded that we buy red roofs so that they can be identified. You can see I have the names of the people who got the homes so that walang kaduda-duda that the money was going to the right people. And you can see that we were also helping them in every respect with livelihood, farm implements, including loans that allowed them, one lady to put up a buko stand, and later on she had a buko, 5 buko stands. She had bought his own pickup, and she had bought her own boat, and now she's in networking. There's her picture. Her name is Irene's Buko Shop, Irene Colliera, and pretty soon, with the 5,000 pesos we assisted her, she was able to build her own home. She was able to build her own business, and she's now in the networking business already. So there's everything to believe for in the future. And when we start looking at the future of Mindanao, your agriculture, I think your agriculture represents 35% of your economy in BARMM, 40% is in services. And so therefore, it is so important that your agriculture, fishery, and forestry sector be developed, because many of our poor people live there, and we should go all out in supporting them. The industry sector is only 25.1%, and we still have to develop our other efforts, especially, for example, in Sulu, they're doing very well with seaweed farming and aquaculture, and certainly in Maguindanao, and certainly in Danao, we could certainly do with a lot more investments in agriculture, and certainly bring in eventually tourism in Lake Lanao, where we can have, which is one of the most beautiful lakes that can compete with Lake Geneva, and bring in the tourists. We have to develop the airport there. I have landed in Balawi. It's a closed airport right now. Why do we build an airport and close it down? We should be expanding them. At the same time, in Maguindanao, the airport can be expanded, and we can work together. I have pretty good connectivities with the GCC countries, and they've been helping me all throughout Bahrain, UAE, Dubai, Qatar, all these countries, including Oman, Saudi Arabia. They've been helping us. Everything from dates to money. In fact, we're distributing to 1,000 families 5,000 peso food relief every month right after Ramadan, and it's closing down in December this year. After this afternoon, we'll be giving 3,500 pesos to 600 families. This is part of our cooperation with the European Union. Last week, we did this in Lanao and in other parts of Cotabato. And again, we will be giving about 10,000 pesos again to certain families that we're lining up in terms of Red Cross assistance. And therefore, all this we can really develop very, very fast. Certainly, we'd like to be able to know that we have already addressed the pandemic. We have a molecular laboratory right there in Cotabato City, where now you're one of the lowest in terms of pandemic intervention. 11% pa lang ata ang lalagyan nyo ng tinatawag natin testing or bakuna. We will send the bus there as well to bring the buses to bring vaccination to the folks all over Mindanao. We have operations in Lanao, Del Sur, and certainly in Sulu. It's a very robust operation, including Tawi-Tawi, where, by the way, yours truly assisted in the final completion of the Bongao Bridge many years ago when it was just lying idle with all the equipment not stolen for years, lying there. When I reported this to my President Arroyo, it moved, and finally they have the Bongao Bridge. I wish I could visit there and see it right away. So immediately today, we start today. Look at the major restoration in Japan. We can immediately send our people, young people, to go abroad and study what they have there and bring it back. It started in 1868. Ito Horubumi of the Japanese government sent young people, and they sent even women abroad to learn. And when they got back by 1905, they had a steel industry. From their silk agricultural industry, they had iron, steel mills. They were building cars. They were building bicycles. And pretty soon in 1905, their ships were the first Asian nation to sink the Russian fleet in the Battle of Tsushima in 1905. In just 37 years, they were able to do it. I'm sure we in BARMM can do that. Pag nagsama tayong lahat, you can be assured of my continuous cooperation. And I can only tell you these stories because totoo lahat ito. Nangyari lahat ito sinasabi ko sa inyo. And I think we should stop dreaming and start thinking. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, not gold, but only men can make nations great and strong. Men who for truth and honor's sake stand fast and suffer long. Brave men who work while others sleep. Men who dare while others shy. They build a nation's pillars deep and lift them to the skies. Allahu Akbar. God is great. But God is great because He created a people called the Bangsamoro people who will help themselves. Not just give them a fish a day, but teach them to fish and make sure that the Mindanao region of Muslims, Mindanao, the BARMM area, will take its proper place not only in the Philippines, but in the whole world, just as the Sultanate of Sulu once upon a time was a mighty kingdom, and just as our exploits in war, like Sultan Kudarak and Amay Pakpak, did their bit in war, now is the time for peace and to prove ourselves by defining ourselves that in peace, we can really bring in development, great health, great livelihood, great education, and certainly great unity and stability for our people in our country, and most especially, particularly in Bangsamoro. Thank you all very much. Mabuhay kayong lahat. And thank you. Shukran. God bless you all.
Thank you very much. That was the Chairman and CEO of the Philippine Red Cross, Senator Richard Gordon. Now at this point in time check, it's 11:32 in the morning. We shall now have the open forum. So I'll turn you over to the Chief of the Macroeconomic Development Specialist of the Bangsamoro Planning and Development Authority, who will serve as your moderator for the open forum. Please welcome Ms. Camelia N. De Vera Dacanay. A round of applause, please.
Thank you, Ms. Bea. It's my pleasure to greet and welcome our honorable BARMM government officials, our distinguished guests and development partners here in the complex, and 132 participants joining us through Zoom. My colleagues in the government service, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the first BARMM Donors Forum. Okay, this part of the program is intended to be a venue, not only to establish the linkages, but also to foster and or enhance the coordination mechanism and the partnership between the BARMM government and our local and international development partners. Before the forum begins, allow me to present the three panel reactors. They are seated here in the front row, the first row. We have our BARMM Senior Minister, Honorable Abdul Rauf Makakua, our BPDA BARMM Bangsamoro Director General, Engineer Muhajirin T. Ali, and our BARMM Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Muhammad Asnin K. Pendatun. All right, here are the ground rules of the forum. First, for our guests and participants here in the complex, if you have questions, kindly raise your hand. For our online participants, kindly click the raise hand button. When you are acknowledged, kindly approach the nearest microphone on the aisle, then start by mentioning your name, the office or organization that you are representing, and which panel reactor you would like to address your question. You have 1 minute to pose your question and give elaboration if necessary. Our panel reactors, on the other hand, have 3 minutes to answer or respond to the questions or the statements. Our timekeeper, Ms. Prince,